Hello, and welcome to another episode of Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and in this show, I have honest conversations with artists, designers, and creatives to uncover their paths and discuss the specific tactics they use to overcome challenges and succeed on their own terms. Today, I'll be having a conversation with Sebastian Curi. Sebastian's bright and bold work is the result of his wide experience as an animator and graphic designer. He employs cartoonish figures and playful compositions to portray ordinary scenes of life under the lens of a bright color palette. Sometimes animated, his work bounces happily between funny little GIFs, huge colorful hands on prints, or big murals where you can lose yourself in. Seb has done work for big clients like Apple, Venmo, The New Yorker, Nike, Warby Parker, Uber, and others. During this show, he spoke about his beginnings as an animator, producer, and what led him to move countries and start over a couple of times. He shared his journey, the logic behind some of his decision-making along the way, and even opened up about how a tough health situation eventually helped him find his creative voice and thrive as an illustrator. Commercially savvy, he shared a golden tip to maximize the budget of his clients while having more control over the creative output. Fearless is the word that best describes Sebastian. So if you are thinking of starting your own creative business or pivoting what you are currently doing, this show will give you tons of creative courage and real-life insights. Enjoy this conversation with Sebastian Curi. Hi, Sebastian. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing amazing. Yes, it's your morning in LA. It's my night.
Oh, it's your afternoon, right?
My evening. My evening in Berlin. So I appreciate you waking up early for this show. Where are you right now? For those that are watching on YouTube, actually, where are you right now?
We are in LA, actually, in Chinatown. Yeah. We moved here in 2016, I think. No, 2019. We moved 2 times to LA. We've been traveling a bit.
Amazing. Yeah. And you're in your studio right now, right?
Yeah, we moved to a studio a couple months ago, in October, actually. So it's been, I'm terrible with maths, like 6 months around, something like that. Now it feels like our place, Yeah.
That's great. For those that are not watching on YouTube and are listening to this, Sebastian has an amazing background of artwork in the back.
Thank you.
And it seems that you're sharing the space with other people, right?
Oh yeah, I share my studio. If you are watching, like here, on my left.
Hi.
I share my studio with my wife.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to work separately in different things, and then at some point we both went freelance and switched careers, kind of like at the same time, and we're trying to do that. We like it. We work and live together. Yeah.
Challenging.
But it is very challenging. But I don't know. We always been together, and like our friends are the same, and we always go out. And I don't know. It felt like a natural thing, and we tried without having a lot of expectations, and it actually worked really well. So she helps me a lot with production, and she's kind of like also my art director. Someone to bounce ideas, and then she does carpets, and I help her with design. She's a cook, so she's a self-taught designer, and I'm an animator, self-taught illustrator.
Oh, that's great. I have so many questions related to this, but first, I always like to start with, where my guests are coming from and where, what was their life growing up. We will for sure go into the details of
like
your creative business.
And
yes, but I would really like to know, how was your life growing up, and also how was your family like?
Yeah. It was cool. I'm from Buenos Aires. I'm Argentinian, and my parents. My mom now is a teacher. My dad is like a fishing guide, but he used to be a taxi driver. So I think when I was little, my dad always liked nature, and outdoors activities. So when they got married, they moved to kind of like countryside, to a small town south of Buenos Aires, with cows, and like fields and that kind of stuff. So that's where I grew up for the first 3 years. And then because of just work, and trying to find better opportunities, they moved closer and closer to Buenos Aires a couple times. First, to a place called Mar del Plata, that is kind of like this vacation destination. And then later on to some places in the south of Buenos Aires, and then like kind of like the outskirts of the place. So they move a lot during like, I don't know, like my first maybe 10 years or something. I didn't notice actually that. I think at some point now I travel a lot, and I recognize myself maybe, like saying, I think, this comes natural because they travel a lot, and now we travel a lot. I changed schools a lot. I've been in a lot of schools. And I always saw that as a natural thing, like totally normal.
Yeah.
So at some point, kind of like when I was a teenager, they stay in one place. My dad stayed with his job as a taxi driver. My mom kept her work as a teacher. And I have two brothers, just normal 90s life, I don't know, I suppose I will chill. I'm not like really sporty guy, so I will try to play football, like everyone does it in Argentina, but I'm really bad. I was kind of like this chubby, little nerdy brown guy. So I will stay and play games. And then I think when I got like later in life, like teenager, like 20s, I got really into music. I started playing guitar. I got into like punk and hardcore and like, I don't know, just like metal, like all that kind of like very loud music. And I started playing in bands, started doing flyers, and I feel that moment was where I kind of like connected with kind of art stuff. So
in which way? Like, because mainly what you're telling me about is like your journey through discovering music and being in a band yourself. But in which way do you feel that connected you with perhaps what you do nowadays, which is illustration?
Well, I think it was like a long, really long fade into arts. But I wouldn't draw, as a kid. I would draw, but like a normal kid, not like really those kids that draw all the time and draw. I just would do like normal stuff. It wasn't a thing. And then when I had to choose a career, I chose journalism. So arts wasn't a thing. But I had my band, and I would play in a couple. I would play in a couple bands, and I would do like concerts, and I would organize them, and I would do the flyers, and I realized that I like that kind of just like creating, stuff. Just like do a T-shirt and then selling it, and go and play concerts and like compose music and just like just speak with your friends, that kind of stuff. I really enjoy that. Just like the vibe of it. And I will spend a lot of time designing flyers and like just thinking about how the logo should be, all those stuff. Nobody will care, it was just me and the bass player, I think. And the bass player, when I was studying journalism, he went to post-production. He pursued like a post-production career. And it was mainly film stuff and some animation, some design at some degree, and for me that felt really cool, and I was really lost studying journalism, so I switched. I kept playing in bands. I was working just like regular, like jobs that I could get to pay the bills, and I started studying post-production, and then, little by little, I will get closer and closer to what I'm doing now. But it took me, I don't know, at least 6 years to get to a real graphic design studio.
So when you say post-production is more animation, what does
it's kind of broad,
post-production?
right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it is. So it is actually broad. It is a career that prepares you to work in the film industry and try to be. I think they try to. The goal should be like to create good producers. You could coordinate anything between pre-production and post-production and production, whatever. Yeah. You know a lot of technical stuff. All the technical language. Stuff about design language. About composition. About cables. About architecture of files.
That's so good.
About So
a lot of useful stuff. Like it's like the school of life, or.
If you go into like films, it's a career that tries to prepare you for that. You're not, I don't know, you'll study montage, but you also will study, technology a lot, and you will study photography, some design, some animation, some, of course, post-production, so like composition, 3D, very technical career. I don't know, at the end of the career, I realized that it was too technical for me. Like you study cables, actually, just like this cable, it's called blah, 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 and it sends this signal, that kind of stuff. And I'm not technical at all. I have a very technical background, but I don't feel like that, So I think I studied, it's a 4 years career. I studied 3. I started working as an assistant video editor for a TV show in Argentina. Yeah. And then I was like, I think this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna study 1 year more to get the degree. I think I'm gonna switch, but I don't know what to do. And I started going to this huge conference of design in Buenos Aires that they do every year, and they invite like international designers called Curi.
What's the name? Trimarchi, okay.
It's called Trimarchi. Yeah, in Latin America, it's well known. It's massive because I don't know. Like when I was there, I think it was like this like huge conference that will happen in a stadium. So it would be like 5,000 or 6,000 kids just like looking at design or animation. And I got to see this amazing designer called I'm gonna butcher his name. It's called Ike Hort. And Connie, I think is his last name.
Yeah, he works here he has a studio.
Oh yeah, from Berlin.
In Berlin.
So I'm a huge fan. I saw his conference and I was like, I think this is what I want to do. I want to try to do something artsy. And I think design is actually close to what I could do. And I don't know, I never thought as arts as a profession. I never thought about making a living from that. I was still playing bands, so I was very close to trying to just pay your bills doing art, and it for me was impossible. So for me it was like, okay, this is gonna be a hobby, and I'm gonna bounce between a job and the stuff that I like, and that was the plan. So I was already working as an animator in Buenos Aires at that time, and it just kept getting better, I suppose, as an animator, and I started. I went like into school again to study graphic design. So I studied like journalism and then like drop out and then like went to post-production and then like drop again and then like a graphic design, and guess what? I didn't finish, of course.
That's so interesting because it seems that there's a lot of things that came together. You were trying a lot of different things like journalism and then post-production, but and then you signed, like you enrolled in graphic design. But now when I look at your work, it seems that there's all of the things come together in a way. You're working with language. There's a lot of typography also in your work, right? Like the things that I'm seeing in the background are also
I think, yours? These ones? No, these ones are...
these are not. Okay.
These ones are Andrea Samuelson.
Okay.
It's amazing. Most of the stuff that is here... so the hands are mine, and then... other works, are from friends, and this one is also Andreas. I don't know. I just like, I didn't want to put all my work on the wall.
Of his studio.
It would be like, look at all my work.
Good.
I know that it's my studio, so I kind of like mix it. Some stuff is mine, some stuff is from friends, some stuff is art that I like and I buy.
But I wanted to ask you, just because you put all these things together into what you do right now, you do illustration, so you do animation as well. So all this this background is in post-production, I think also has in a way some influence in that part of your work nowadays.
Oh yeah, it can really handle it. Yeah.
When do you feel that? When was the moment where you realized, like, okay, I'm kind of finding my thing here. I'm kind of finding my niche, or I'm kind of finding the thing that I do, because it seems that you were trying all of the things and you were keeping your day job, or I don't know what you were doing at that time. But what was the moment where you started like seeing something that had a shape, like seeing or realizing that you had a style or a certain approach to what you were doing?
You know, I think I'm very slow, you know, I have to say. It took me a while to get to the place where I feel that I'm doing something that I really like. All my first jobs were terrible. Neither of those were close to anything that I would like. And they were not related at all to the things that I was studying.
But at the same time, you were on the side, you were also drawing and, you know, like sort of developing your art, or
no, not really.
No, okay.
No, not really. It took me long because I don't know, you know, from where I come from, you need to work. You know, you need to work. You could think about stuff, you could think about life, but you need to work. And so I always work, and then I pursued stuff. You know, and at the beginning it was like, I'm gonna pursue a career. I'm gonna try to study something. So I was working something. I actually got a lot of like small jobs, so I don't remember well, but just like weird jobs that will pay me something, and then I will study. And then at some point when I got like to third year of post-production, I started getting jobs kind of like closer to post-production, you know, like animation industry, and like at least, you know, closer, I would say, you know, like an assistant video of a TV show is not actually design, neither post-production, but at least, you know, I will do something related to what I would like to do. And it's just like I kept switching jobs, you know, like every year, every 6 months, I will get better, you know, in all these jobs. I will learn a lot. I'm very focused, so I will study at night, work in the morning, maybe, you know, like, I don't know, I will have like 2 or 3 jobs and just try to do that. And that went on for a couple of years until I got to this like really nice studio called Plenty in Buenos Aires that they will do 3D design and animation. And I got to work with really good graphic designers and really good animators. And I think that synced with this conference from IT, and I kind of like was like, okay, I think this is it, you know, like graphic design and animation. And I don't know, it kind of makes sense for me to pursue that in a longer term, you know, like for more years. So I stayed there for 4 years, and I studied graphic design all those 4 years. I kind of like at night, you know, so I will study and work at the same time, so you really can advance really fast. But it helped me a lot, you know, and at the end of those 4 years, I was an animation director there, and I was way better, you know, for me in graphic design. So I will understand typography, you know, composition, color, a lot of stuff that at the beginning it was just things that I would try, but it wouldn't make any sense on my head.
But you know, it's something that is really interesting from what you said in the very beginning, that you sort of, you know, throughout your journey, you sort of prove yourself wrong, in the sense that you were telling before that, you know, you come from a culture where you need to work, whatever that is, whatever that job is, you need to work, right? And I think when you were doing music, or you started with, you know, getting into creativity, you mentioned that you didn't think that you could live from art, right? And, you know, throughout your journey, you prove yourself wrong in a way. Like you ended up working as a creative in an animation studio.
Oh yeah.
And you were actually making
great surprise.
money with, So, and you were, you know, you were employed for 4 years in this animation studio. did you go, because you're now running your own creative studio, right? You're now freelancing in LA. Probably there's a big journey between being in Buenos Aires employed to going to LA to start your freelance business. But when did you decide to leave that job, and why did you do that? What do you think was, or what did you think at that time was missing?
I know this is gonna sound silly, but it is cliche. But I think I'm kind of naive. I always work on places that gave me an opportunity to learn. But really hard. I will go to places and I will be the worst, every place. But then at some point, I will get really good. And at the end,
you will level up.
Yeah, I will always left as a director. I will start bottom and I will leave. Hey, I'm managing stuff, I'm doing, but I'm not learning anything. I will get a better salary, but I'm not learning. This is not challenging, so I need to move, and I will go to hopefully a better place. And when I left, the studio is called Plenty. It's still going. When I left Plenty, I went freelance. Because in Buenos Aires at that time, in Latin America, a lot of people was working freelance for Europe or United States, and I wanted to work also with studios from Latin America as a freelance, and I did that for 2 years, I think, and also focused really hard into the university. I was studying graphic design, so I went to school almost every day, and I would work in the morning, afternoon.
Just one follow-up question before you get into the next thing. You kind of left that design studio because you felt that wasn't challenging for you anymore, or did you see an opportunity for you to go freelance and expand your work or work for other companies that you were not working up until that point?
No, I left because I felt that I couldn't learn. What happens is, usually, or at least with me, what happened in these places that I went in as a junior animator kind of thing. And then through those 4 years, I went into 3D animation, 3D design, post-production, 2D animation, art direction, and just global, whatever, just you do everything. And then work with people as a director, Yeah. But then I realized that I didn't know any design. And I was really bad at direction, and it's just the people that was working with me, it was more interested in making money, in pursuing let's buy a house, and I was really into the work, I'm all about creating stuff. I really like the craft, so I thought that I needed to move on, and I didn't have really any good opportunity, work related. I couldn't go to other studio because that was. For me, that was the best one. But I was studying, I was studying graphic design, and I was pretty bad at graphic design, so I tried to just switch it, I'm gonna work freelance, it's gonna be fine, hopefully I'm gonna work with a better studio from the United States, or from Europe, and then I will keep my studies, and hopefully I will get better. The idea is always get better, how you get better, and
And how were those first months? So you were working as a creative director. I bet you were earning a good salary as a creative director. So you decided to go freelance. And how were those first months? What were the things that you did in those first months to launch your freelance
career?
Business?
It was actually...
and also to gain or to get those first clients.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can give us a bit of details around this.
Oh, sure. I have this weird background where I can do a lot of stuff, so I never had problems to get a job again. It was actually amazing. I don't know, but it kind of in the first maybe 1 or 2 months, I did a year's salary. So I was okay, this is amazing. I didn't know that it could happen.
But how did that happen? Wait, that sounds really magical.
It sounds magical. Well,
So how did that happen? you left your day job, and then at the next day you had everything, like you had a website, you had like a business running.
Well, that's true.
Like, or you started building up while you were.
I'm forgetting.
You employed. You were kind of
building
what happened?
up. I get it. Yeah. So I had this thing. So you remember when I was like a teenager studying, I would work and study. So at some point, that kind of became like the normal thing. So when I got to any of these studios, I will still be doing freelance stuff. And what I was doing, I always switch positions. A 3D designer and a 2D animator, they're very different. They don't do the same thing. They don't manage to use the same software. They are in a very different position throughout the design process. Some of them are at the beginning, some of them are at the end. So what it will happen is that I will use my best skills at Plenty, for example. Maybe I was really good in 3D design, whatever. But then I will freelance as a 2D animator. And I was kind of like not that good, but that will help me to create skills. So I did a lot of freelance work during the first 3 years of Plenty. I will always have like freelance projects, graphic design school and Plenty. And that kind of like build a lot of skills. So when I went freelance, I actually had, people would know me, It would be like, hey, yeah, for sure you can work. You are an animation director from a well-known, recognized studio. I will have like awards, and stuff. So it wasn't hard actually to get a job because people would like. So
you were actually building your freelance business on the side, and
kind of like that wasn't the goal, but that was what happened. Like when I went out, I was like, I know these studios. I know the Cube. What I will know. I don't know. Like Argentina is a very small country. Buenos Aires, small industry in motion graphics. At that point, I think you will have like maybe 20 really good graphic design studios that will do animation. And it would be really hard if they wouldn't know me. I will know them, and they will know me. And so I could send an email saying, hey, can we work in some projects that could go from 2D to 3D to design to animation? So all the time they will have something.
And this is what you actually did. Like when you leap to freelance, you actually emailed these people, and you got these first projects that allow you to pay for a year of
salary.
Of salary.
That was what I did. I didn't do actually small projects. I started doing some direction, like a freelance direction. I will go to the studios, I will direct a project, and then I will lead something. And then if they have a problem, I will jump. Like, hey, we can get like a really good designer, and I will be like, okay, I can do that. Like boop, boop. And then okay, we need like to do animation in After Effects. Great, blah, or like, no, let's render this in C4D, sure, like, or whatever, bitrate. We need to post-product this stuff. So I'm very handy, with this stuff, just because I study graphic design and post-production, and then I work in like this 3D. I don't know, I'm just like a guy that kind of like, here they say like one-man studio,
Yeah.
So I could do that in Buenos Aires. That works.
And I wonder, because right now you have a very strong brand in the sense of like,
thank you.
When someone visits your website, they can immediately know that it's your work, and they can already understand what you're all about. Like you're all about illustration, and of course you state also on your website that you have the skill in animation. So I really wonder when did you?
When I switched?
Because it seems that you, in the very beginning, as you started freelancing, you kind of used all of the things you had done before, these production skills that you had, plus knowledge of the design discipline and field and animation and everything, and you put that together into managing projects that you could manage. You knew how to go about that. But now it seems that you have niche down, or you have built a business around something very specific, which is really illustration. So I really wonder how did you manage to really niche down, and if some of that experience is still something that is something you're still working on right now, or you still manage projects that have to do with that side of your experience, or you have totally decided to go in the direction of animation and illustration?
Yeah. So, I have to say, again, I'm very slow, so when I did all that, I'm not doing anything of that right now. Any 3D,
okay.
any post-production, I sometimes open After Effects to do some animation, and that's it, I think. But just very little. Let's say like 5% of my work is kind of like around that. No, what happened was that at some point I got bored of that in Buenos Aires, and I got an opportunity to work for a production company in Los Angeles. And we moved with my wife to work in 2016 or 2017 to work at Buck as an animator, and that kind of like, I don't know, felt great for me because it was traveling outside the country. It was like my first time going to the United States. But at that point, it was kind of like a dream job. It's like a place for motion graphics is a huge deal. For me, it was a dream job. They're kind of like,
for sure.
If you like football, like Barcelona, or I don't know, like this place where really talented people goes to work. And so I left Buenos Aires. I stopped doing freelance project, and I went to work at Park, and I stayed there for 2 years. And at some point, during that job, I felt disconnected from all the stuff that I was doing. It kind of worked the same. I started as a junior animator, like senior animator, and I ended up being like an animation director, creative director. But I felt, very empty. I don't know, like I had like these expectations around how I would create work, and the environment for me wasn't the ideal, and my coworkers were really talented, really talented, but the projects weren't the right ones for them. So nobody was really pushing it, So what I would do was in the morning or late at night, I started drawing. So, I'm very handy with software. I use a lot of software. And for me, I think just using Photoshop and just drawing, the pencil, it was crazy. It's like, whoa, what are you doing? So, and it helped me to connect. It was very playful, and I don't know, I'm very passionate. I really need to like the stuff that I'm doing. So when I went into drawing, it felt great because it was new, and I didn't know. I was very naive, and I connected to something, like excitement. I was like, yeah, let's do some cool drawing or something. And I was pretty bad, at the beginning. I was really, really bad. So I will do like shapes, and I will put a face on it, and that will be kind of like my drawing. And then that will develop in like these bodies that I started doing with geometrical shapes, and they're kind of like intertwined. And kind of like that morphed into some kind of thing. I will wake up in the morning, do some drawing, I will finish that night, I will post it on Instagram or Tumblr. I will do it again, and I will do that every week, every month. And I think, maybe 6 months in, people will say, hey, so you are doing drawings now, like, are you an illustrator? That kind of stuff.
Wow.
I've stopped posting animation work, all my animation and direction, all that stuff. I will do it at Buck. And then all these drawings things, they will be for me, like, okay, I'm going to do something fun for me to be healthy and happy and that kind of stuff.
So it seems that you had like a first spark with that, with that experience, that you were drawing at nights or in the mornings, and you felt that there was something there. So there was there was some internal feeling that had to do with, hey, I like this and I enjoy it.
Oh, sorry, we got a puppy, so.
I was wondering what was that?
She really gets angry with people walking. Maggie's gonna give her a walk.
So
sorry, you were saying.
You had this first you had like this first spark with the experience of drawing and creating illustrations. But when was the moment? And it seems that you were also showing the work you were doing. You said that you were.
Oh yeah, I always post stuff. Yeah. I think it's really important. Yeah.
And was there something in that interaction or in that action of showing your work that you got back? Did you start? I have to say, like, let me just reframe the question, because I think there's like two sides of like understanding or kind of seeing that you're good at something, or that there's some talent in you, which, you know, often comes from that first spark, and rarely comes from like, hey, I'm really good at this. Like, I'm super talented.
I'm really good, guys. Come on.
Yeah. It just rarely happens.
When
and first, I think that often what happens first is that you get that validation from
people, your peers,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I wonder where were you getting this validation that kept you going? Like, were you getting that through
I don't know,
social media or through like the feedback that you got from peers? Or
for illustration, you can really slow on social media. Yeah. But then on animation, you know, at some point I was really bad, and then I got better, and the studio that I was working, they were like, hey, congrats, dude, actually you can do stuff. And then I will move to a better studio, you know, like a high, I don't know, performance, whatever, you know, they will try to pursue the awards and projects outside. So that's a very different level skill, you know, and at some point I started there and it was like the worst, you know, and they would be like, well, maybe you could bring me coffee and try to do this, but we're going to redo it entirely. And years after, you will be the guy doing it, you know, you'll be like, hey, I have this and I have that, and you should learn. And then when I went to Puck, I thought that it was going to be the same, you know, I thought that I was going to be really bad and I would learn. And it was more mixed, you know. I had my skills, and I was, I think at that point, I was a really good 2D animator and a really good 3D generalist, they call, you know, people that can design and animate. So I wouldn't have like a lot of people, you know, to learn. You know, it was like, okay, you are great, but I am also good, so we can bounce back stuff, and I can learn stuff, but it is hard to learn. You know, at the beginning when you don't know anything, the learning curve is like really high. You should learn a lot on the first time, you know, whatever. Yeah. But when you know a lot of stuff, you learn just very little. Yeah. And I'm a very anxious person, so I don't know. With illustration, you know, what I knew I was very confident of myself, you know, and I knew that I could learn skills because I have learned, and I've been switching positions all over my career, you know. And it always gave me, it's always rewarding, you know, it's always rewarding to learn, it's always rewarding to control more of the stuff that we do, and it will always help me to understand more from the other side, you know. If I was doing design and I will learn animation, I will be better at design, or reverse, stuff like that. And when I started drawing is an amazing skill, you know, it's insane because it puts you, first, you know, in the design process, it puts you at the beginning. And I always wanted to do that, you know, because I come from post-production, where you are at the end.
Got you.
And I really like that I could create an idea and just like think about how to produce that and how that is going to come alive, you know, and how we're going to animate and stuff like that. And ideation, you know, like, okay, how, you know, I have ideas about design and just like stuff that I wanted to do, and I never did it. But everything was very weird, you know, like I was working for, I don't know, for Apple, doing like flying iPads or stuff like that. And then I would do like very weird drawings about people hugging. And they wouldn't connect, you know, it was like, okay, I have my fun thing and I have my like, kind of like day job, night job, but your night job doesn't pay at all. And at some point I got like small commissions, you know, like, hey, do you want to do my album cover for like $200? Sure, hey, do you want to do like this flyer for like a weird, I don't know, French festival? Sure, like $100, whatever. Really, all the projects were more about like, do something with us, let's collaborate, and we could give you some money. And
That's great,
sorry.
because also it's perhaps the first experience of like, hey, people actually want this from me, and
it was amazing.
I could actually make money
sure.
from just doing this. Like, I think these are great validation.
I didn't know that you could do money of drawings and like these very weird drawings. I'm not like a virtuous drawer. I don't do landscapes. I don't know. I had my idea, of being an artist. It was so different. That it never came to my mind that I could actually have a profession from drawing the stuff that I draw nowadays.
Yeah. When was the first time with your illustration work that what was the first assignment that you thought like, hey, wait, this is
good.
I could actually make money with this. I could actually pursue a career just with illustration.
So I think it was before the money came. I did like a drawing. So I've been in the industry for some years, at this point. And I was working, at that point we were doing like the Facebook branding, and Facebook was starting to use characters as a illustration voice, and I was doing animation stuff on that. But I will sit with the illustrators doing that, and I think I had at that point a great sense of like, what it could be interesting to create, in like a commercial art space, So when I started drawing, I wouldn't have any skill, but I think I was good at reading, If you're a creative director and you do stuff without any skill, still direction and vision is good. You can execute it, But still you have like, okay, the idea I think is there, And I did that, and at some point, my skill set, the level of I was doing drawings and color and stuff got kind of like enough to have like a vision execution that kind of work. And I did a drawing of two guys like hugging for Friends Day, Friends Days, and I like it. I really like it. I was like, I still have, it's just like they have like a red heads and they're hugging in like a very weird and proportioned way.
So you did it for that project you were directing for Facebook. So
no, yeah, actually I was doing a commercial project for Facebook for Friends Day that went to billions of people, well, whatever, but not connected at all.
Got it.
No, I did like a little drawing for my Instagram that got like 50 likes or whatever. But for me, this is all me, For me, the big thing was the drawing. I wasn't really into this commercial that I was doing for Facebook. I was really into the drawing, and because I felt connected to the drawing, and it felt like totally mine. It was like, okay, this drawing looks like me. And if you have drawn anything, that's really hard to, at least for me, it's really hard to create something and then just see you in that, that's my style, that's my voice, and I was very happy because of that, And I also saw that, okay, if this is my style, I could do more stuff. And maybe I could have, I could be an illustrator with a style, or like an artist with a voice. And it kind of like got to me, like because of that drawing, because I was looking for something and I couldn't find anything. And then I have like these two bodies hugging or something, and it worked. And I think months later, I got like an email from a creative director in London to do, and this is weird, I don't know, this is life, to do like an exhibition in Buenos Aires for a museum. It's called Recoleta. It's like a cultural center, but it's huge in Buenos Aires. They do a lot of stuff. It wasn't at all a project for me. I was totally unprepared. And they wanted to do a rebranding for summer. Everything was around love, and he likes some of my drawings around hugs, because I had like a series of hugs. And he was like, I think this is great, we could do that. And that's where I actually got some money. And I was like, okay, actually, maybe I could work from this, from
Yeah,
drawing.
I think that was also like a great demonstration of like, hey, or this is what I hear from what you're telling right now is like, I did like a work that felt really personal, felt really me,
Yeah.
and still I got an assignment through that, right? So it still
that was
resonated with
the most
with the
rewarding,
commercial. Yeah.
It was really rewarding because, I don't know, like I think at the beginning I just wanted to have something fun in my life, something joyful. And I think the drawings gave me that, something that I would connect. I always connect to my work, I work a lot. So I need something cool, I need to work on something that I really like because I'm going to spend a lot of hours. And I didn't have that at Buck, but I had that on my drawings, and I felt really connected to this stuff. So when I started having commissions, money was really bad, but I had my salary, from Buck, so I wouldn't care. And I was like, I don't care. I could do it for free. And even some of my clients, it was like this, like, hey, can you do this project? And I would be like, yeah, for sure. Do you have any budget? And they were like, yeah, kind of like, we have, I don't know, like a couple hundreds. And I would be like, I don't care. Great. Let's do it, And I will send way over more work to them that there was actually commissioned.
And when did that change? Because it's hard to believe right now that you living in LA, which is an expensive city, running you're running your own creative studio. Yeah. You are managing your finances the same way that you used to. So when did that change?
This is not me nowadays, guys. So I don't know. I was patient. So we moved to Vancouver. I felt, at some point I felt that Buck wasn't giving me the things that I needed. And I started having health problems, with my neck and my head, weird stuff, dizziness. I don't know if you know, just problems related to working too much, stress, awful posture, So I started getting that really bad altogether. We moved to Vancouver. And I got a job at this company called Giant Ant, also as an animator, I don't know, every time that you travel and you get a new job, it seems that there is this magical thing in the border where like nobody cares what you did on the other country. So even being an animation director at Buck with like 15 years of careers and like, I don't know, like 50 awards, I had to start again as a regular animator at China. But I was like, anyways, I'm going to do it. I did it like a ton of times. But I think, like all my health problems and my age, it's just like I felt terrible, I was like, hey, I don't have I don't have the will. I don't have the will to do this and just show you that I'm good because I actually know that I'm good because I work in like a lot of places.
And I've done it 1,000 times. So,
and I've done it a lot of times. And maybe, this is me just like complaining about everything. And I am like this old guy. But I want to say, that I'm a very positive person. I'm a chill, cool guy to work with. It's just that I'm in this really weird stage of my life. And I love Vancouver and I love the people at Giant Ant. But I was kind of like transitioning into my illustrator profession. And they really needed like an animator, like a regular animator, someone that works a lot of hours, really intense. And I had like a lot of goals, I wanted to do, I don't know, cool drawings or, I wanted to do stuff with this universe that I was creating. And they didn't have any space actually for that, they had to do 3D stuff. And so I don't know, at some point we had like long talks with the owner and he was like really, I think he understood me and he was like, hey dude, I think you have to leave, I think you have to leave and maybe you do your own thing, and just go with that, go really hard. Try to
sometimes you just need someone. Sometimes you just need someone telling you, like, just leave,
just go,
go do it.
And that was great, When you have a visa, also that your boss that holds your residential permit says that it is really important, I will leave way before that, but you have to discuss, and create some consent and just get permission, like, hey, you could stay in the country. I'm not going to say anything to government or whatever, do your thing, we cool, you know.
Yeah,
and I think that was what's happened there, and it gave me time to work on my health problems. I had to like change my diet. I left my job. I exercised a lot. I started working maybe 2 hours a day, maybe 3 hours a day, 4 hours, and it kept growing from there. And it took me, I don't know, it took me 1 year, I think, to get healthy, but it took me 2 months to get like illustrations really going on. Because I was actually doing stuff, you know, when I was having conversations with China. I had projects with Apple. I had projects with some editorial, you know, commissions. So I didn't have like a great salary, but I have some kind of salary. Hopefully, I don't remember the numbers, you know, but I think at that moment I was like, hey, I think I could pay the bills. Kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe we will have to move or something, or we will have to sacrifice, or I could come back, you know, to do some freelance work that I know that pays great. And I don't have to come here 8 hours a day and do whatever. So I think 2 months after, you know, leaving, or a month leaving Jainan, or even weeks, I don't remember, but it was kind of like, I left Jainan and I got like this massive project for a company here in the United States called Venmo. And they, it's like an app.
I saw it on your website, yeah.
Yeah, it's an app. We've been working with them for years. It's an app to send money to friends and people, and it's the standard in the industry here in all United States. Yeah. And I did the branding voice for them. So that was great. That was my year's salary there.
Amazing.
And I was like, cool, I have a year to develop this language and to just try to create more stuff. And that's how I started in Vancouver, in like a small room, all with like head problems, you know, neck problems. I couldn't walk anything, but they're kind of like, it was very weird. But I suppose I was lucky.
There's so many windows we could open here, but I want to go back to one of the windows you opened before, which was, or right in the beginning of our conversation, which was working with your wife and kind of running a studio together. Yeah, exactly. So for those that are watching on YouTube, you can see his wife right there.
On the background.
Tell me a little bit about
She's
that.
great.
Tell me how you together have expanded the business, the illustration business, into something that, you know, has space for two people.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, Vancouver is expensive, but it's not that expensive. And we found a small studio, and at that stage, Maki, that was working kind of like in the tea industry, she's a cook, but she studied administration and cooking or something like that, and she started like working in the kitchen, you know. But it's very intense, and like you need to be strong, you know, and like you work with fire and like long hours. So she started moving from that, like those positions, to administration stuff, and then she moved to tea. And at some point when we moved to Vancouver, she had to do the same than me, you know, like just forget about everything that you did your whole life, and you have to start from scratch. Yeah. And I was doing fine, you know, at Giant, so we were like, maybe you don't have to do that, you know. I'm actually sacrificing because of this, you know, like moving thing that we have going on. What if you try to do something cool? And she was very lost, I think, and I started doing clothing, you know. And at some point I started doing the illustration stuff, and she started doing like tote bags or like jackets or like pants. And then she found like this hand tafting machine on Instagram or something. And she was like, okay, I think I'm going to do rocks. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do rocks, you know, like, because I don't know, we could work on the design and it looks cool and the machine seems easy. And we bought a machine from China or something. And we needed space, so we had to move. Apartments in Vancouver are really small, kind of like in Europe, you know, like if you go to Paris, those tiny apartments, that kind of like is what happens in Vancouver if you don't have like $1 million. So we got like a small attic close to our house that we cleaned, and we put a small studio, and she had like a frame to do the carpets, and I had a desk with my computer and a scene tape to do the illustrations. And that's how we started, you know, like very little. I think rent was like $400. but we were like really happy, you know, because we were working together and living together, and it always works for me and for her, you know. We are really happy. She was like, we have a lunch break every day. Now we have this, we have a dog, and we just walk the dog, you know, and grab a coffee. We discuss about work and life stuff. I don't know.
I can totally see the benefits of it, actually.
You know, if you get along, it's actually great because for us, you know, it works, and we, for me, you know, I'm doing this because I love to draw, but I love way more to have this kind of life, you know, when I share everything with her and we do stuff together and I go, I don't know, at lunch to my house and I cook, you know, and I buy my groceries and I really I never saw myself, you know, working 8 hours a day on a desk, I don't know, eating. And I've been working in a ton of places, ton of countries. And it always feels like a worse situation than the one I have now. So I'm super grateful, you know, to illustration and animation, like super, really. And I don't know, you know, it just kept growing. The business side of it, you kind of like know my story now, so you know that I'm really good at animation and direction, and illustrators are not like that. So the big projects that you have to do like hundreds of illustrations, plus some commercials, plus some social media stuff, plus some blah, 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 that will seem impossible for any illustrator, you know, because like, this is insane. But I'm an animation director. So I'm like,
that's
sure,
amazing.
You know, I did projects
I can totally see why that is beneficial. You have this skill to not only manage the project, but also to expand it into a lot of different pieces of work, animation.
Yeah, it really worked. I think that's the thing. When I talk with clients, they realize that, wait, so you can actually do the whole package and we're just done?
Oh, I love that.
And they're like, yeah, this is great. Just take my money, do the thing. And for me, it's great because it's not because of the money, you know, it's because of the freedom. You have complete control over the project. Like Venmo, I did it, all of it, you know, like I was like, hey, you know, this is my project, so I'm going to do all the ideas. Oh, they didn't have anything. Good. They were like, okay, let's do something about friendship and togetherness and money. And that was it. And I did like, I don't know, 100 illustrations or something. And they were like, this is great. This is awesome. You know, let's do stuff. And that's how
so good. Like, I think also for those listening, I think it's a really good insight, which is like, you know, normally as an illustrator or as a lettering artist or as a logotype designer, you will do just one bit of that project. Whereas if you can expand your skills to kind of take over the entire project, then it makes sense for everyone, for your clients.
It's a ton of work, you know, but it's,
Exactly. But at the same time, you have full control of the project. You're not responding to a lot of people, the demands of a lot of people, but
you still have to get approval from clients.
For sure. But then it's just one person who has to approve the thing.
That's what usually happens.
No,
it was great, you know, and I don't know, you know, every project is very different. That project, I remember I have like, we did it with Koto. There is an agency in Los Angeles and London, and they do branding. And sometimes, you know, you get along with the people that you work with, and they believe in my illustrations and the kind of like ideas and structures that I was giving to the drawings, and they did all the applications, you know, like, and all the, well, you know, the whole thing, the branding project, it was them, but I will do just the illustrations. And the illustrations are huge though, you know, like I have to work a ton, months into that. But it was the closer that I got to get freedom, you know, and control over my work on all of my work life, you know, like from my 15 years of that was kind of like, hey, you are an artist, do this thing, and I think you're going to do better than we giving you ideas.
And at the same time, you know what, I see something that is like, although you know, I mentioned in the beginning that looking at your website and looking at the things you do, I see a very clear profile, like illustration profile. But at the same time, you didn't start over. You brought with you all of these experiences that make you nowadays an illustrator that can take over really big projects. It
kind of goes for a circle. But
Yeah,
you
kinda-
never know, you know. I think
Yes.
yeah.
Kind of like the learning is like, hey, you never start over, you know, like all
never
of
start
this
over.
experience.
No.
Yeah. All of this experience that you had before, all of the things that you have done that you didn't even like them.
No, yeah,
but
for sure.
still they are with you, they come with you and they help you get on to the next stage or whatever next thing is there for you. So
I think, you know, it was key to, well, it's still key, you know, for me. I still do that. I think there is some balance between the comfort that you could get from the position that you are, you know, maybe the job that you have has, I don't know, great vacations or like it's chill or like, I don't know, great food or whatever, you know, but you don't learn as much or your salary is not that high or whatever. I always been only being focused on learning, always.
yeah.
To the point that some of my coworkers are like, dude, just stop, you know, because this is done. You know, we are not working for the client. The client is going to approve this for sure. And I'm like, no. We have this could be way better because you are amazing. I know that I could do better. So let's do it better. And they're like, no. Let's grab a long lunch, you know, and then maybe we render this stuff in the afternoon and that's it, you know, and that kind of stuff. I think it takes you to a certain place and it's just like being a hustler, you know, like all the time. No. We have to do it. Let's just do an alternative version. Let's do like a blah, blah, blah. I feel that kind of like approach to projects and anxiety and just trying to really just get better, you know, just like do something better. Just push it. Maybe you could break, you know, because I actually broke and I have like a lot of health issues, but and I think, you know, I push it too hard, but I think it's great if you can do it, just thinking about like this balance, you know, and try to get to an uncomfortable situation where you learn, you know, that discomfort, it's always going to give you something, you know, you're going to get something. And just me switching positions all over and just like moving country all the time and just like going to different studios. Every studio, you know, they work very differently. I don't know, like, I don't know if you work in studios, but every time that I work in a studio, everyone is like, we know how the industry works, you know?
Yeah.
And if you really work in different studios, different countries, you're going to notice that every studio is a different industry, you know? They have a different business, they have a different process, and sometimes
that's a great learning also because you can learn that, you know, you can shape it yourself. Like everyone shapes their own way of doing business.
That's the great thing. Yeah, it's like, it could be whatever.
Yeah. And before, you know, as I said, I'm going to leave a lot of questions out of our conversation. Before we wrap up, it's just that there's so many things that I want to ask you. You know, you have gone through so many experiences. You have had a lot of working experiences. You have sort of shifted careers a couple of times. And you have moved countries, which is already like a whole story all in itself.
Yeah, it takes a ton of effort to move.
Yeah. So I just want to touch on one thing before we wrap up the conversation, which is, you know, I work with I'm an immigrant myself. Like I moved to Germany in 2010. So now is like, I've lived in Germany for 12 years. And I also work, it's interesting because I also coach other creatives. And I work a lot with other creatives that also relocated countries. And in the podcast, I have also had a lot of guests that have also relocated, right? And you mentioned before that because you were moving countries, you had to sort of start over. Like, no, you know, when you move to a country or to a new country, it's like all your experiences are gone. Like they're like, you start over again. So I want to ask you, what is it, you know, what is the gain from that? Why did you choose still to move countries a couple of times? Even realizing that you were starting over every time. What was the gain in that move, or in that decision of
Great question. You know, I think they were all different. Maybe I really believe, you know, that you grow when you change stuff. For me, you know, like this movement thing, this change thing is great. You know, I like it. I feel that I'm in control. You know, where my life thing happens. Because I move and I change stuff, and that always brought good stuff to my life. When I moved to LA, I had like a massive opportunity, come work for the best studio in the world, if you ask me, and that was amazing, and I learned a lot. I work with like 60 artists on the same studio, and they are all handpicked from the world. It's insane, if you go to a place like that, every person, every person for me was a studio. Every person had a style, a strong voice, a set of skills that was amazing. So I learned a lot there. And LA is a fun city, like a really fun city. When we moved to Vancouver, I needed some calm in my life. I needed like a small studio, family oriented, I don't know, like everyone could sit at the same table, and we were like maybe 15. I like that. I will know the name of everyone, and everyone will know my name. I will have a desk, stuff that you don't realize, maybe, but they make your life, the routines and stuff. At Buck, I wouldn't move desk. I wouldn't have a desk. I would move buildings. I wouldn't have, I got to the first day, and the second day I was working on a second building, and the third day I was working like 40 minutes from the studio, and then I would come back. It was like I wouldn't have any control over my life, and it was. I think that's how they have to work, and it is amazing. But for me, it was insane. It was like I can't believe that I can have like a small plant on my desk, or like my computer can have like a background, because I'm not gonna have anything. And then in Vancouver, I started exercising, and like the balance, the work-life balance got really, improved, it got better. I was going to say really good, but actually I think I have a better work-life balance now. And then when we moved again, we were wondering about Europe. We moved to Barcelona, we were freelance, and we had a lot of friends there, and social life became like a thing, like an important thing in our lives, and food was amazing. And I don't know, we just wanted to travel, and know places. And then when we moved back again, we are really focused on our careers, and I really want to create something that is going to stand, and I feel the best place that I know that I could do that is LA, because the industry is so big, and opportunities here are massive, and if you do something, I don't know, I come from Buenos Aires. If you do something in Buenos Aires, a huge project in Buenos Aires, people in Argentina is going to know. And that's it. And maybe, someone in Europe, but you have to struggle, you have to be really, really good. Excellent. I don't know. And here I feel if you are good enough in LA, you get a project, people in United States is going to know, just a bigger country, bigger industry. But maybe, people in Europe is going to know, and of course, people in Latin America, it's just like it spreads, you get more exposure from the same work, and I think I got like amazing opportunities in United States to work with just like these huge brands, like Apple and Facebook and Spotify and Uber and Nike, and I don't know, like all these incredible, popular, huge brands, and it's insane how many people see your work,
I think also it's incredible. Your experience also shows in a way that you can choose where to live, right? Like you can, I think this attitude of like moving around countries and like realizing, okay, I like this place or I like that place, or this place is good for me right now. Vancouver is good for me right now, but I would rather stay in LA for the rest of my next, I don't know, 10 years or whatever. For now. But I mean, it's also great. I think that's a great mindset that not all of us have, the fact that we don't need to stay in the same place. At the same time, we don't need to move. There's no right or wrong, right? But
no, there's no way to.
It's a great mindset to be open.
It's a broader experience, I feel, I don't know, I'm very, as you can see, I do a lot of stuff. I'm just like move a lot, like not country. I just like move. I do things, and I like it like that. I feel my life makes sense to me in that way. And I feel you could stay in the place that you are born. Nobody is pushing you to do that. Every life is different. I'm not saying that you're gonna get a better life if you move to LA or whatever. I'm just saying that for me, it completely switched. I'm not the same person. I don't know, I'm a kid from Buenos Aires, like countryside maybe, I don't know, like from, Buenos Aires, from Lanús. So it's like a very small, kind of like middle class, low class place. I had, son of a teacher and a taxi driver, so I shouldn't be here, really. And I think, just working in these places gave me a window in Buenos Aires, gave me a window to like the world. And then I don't know how I got into like a production company in LA that is massive. And then that gave me a window into maybe a arts career. And then, I started doing that, and I'm actually doing it step by step. I don't know, you see like the next opportunity and you just try to pursue that. And if you work hard, suppose you're lucky, things in the context work, whatever, you get I don't know, it's insane. I have a studio in LA, I'm still just surprised, about everything. I've been doing illustrations for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's wonderful, that the projects that I do, they treat me well. I'm really happy with the work that I do, and I put it out there. 90% or 95% of the work that I do, it's out there. And I don't hide anything. And I work on places that 95% it was hidden. I couldn't show anything. And that's such a big part for me, just to share the work and someone says, cool, I like what are you doing, that kind of stuff. Or now I sell the prints, and I feel it's like a stronger connection to the people that follows me, and I can share that with them, and I can pay the bills from that. I'm painting now. I don't know,
we're gonna add the link to the shop on our show notes.
Oh, thank you.
So that people can find it. Sebastian, before we wrap up this conversation that could go on to a lot of different directions, I want to play a game with you, which is a game that I have played with some of the guests that I have had in the last episodes, which is called Complete the Sentence.
Complete the sentence?
Essentially,
okay. I'm really bad at games. Okay, I hope. Okay.
I start the sentence and you complete it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
No, but let's do it.
I could never get bored of
drawing.
I'm extremely good at
eating.
I'm terrible at
exercising. It takes me. I'm trying to be better, but I'm the worst.
My wife always tells me that
stop working. For sure.
One day I'm gonna.
That's a hard one. One day I'm gonna have a bookshop. I would love to have a bookshop, a bookstore. Yeah, I would love to.
Right now is the perfect time to
get a coffee. Always. Go for a walk, grab a coffee, come back, do some work, go for a coffee and walk, get some work.
Last one. If I wouldn't be doing this for a living, I would be.
That's so hard. Now I want to be a painter, So let's say that. I'm not that far. I'm always changing careers, so it's not that undoable for me. So maybe in a couple of years, you're like, hey, now you're painting. What happened with the digital thing?
Amazing. I'm going to invite you to the podcast then. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Sebastian.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Where can people find you before we wrap up?
You put Sebastian Curi in Google, and I should be there. If not, I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, great. So I'm going to add your website, your shop.
I have an Instagram and Twitter and all that.
Your Instagram account, everything on the show notes so that everyone can find you. Thank you again for making the time to chat with me
thanks
today.
Thanks to you for chatting with me.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and see you on the next episode of Open Studio. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
So this is it. I hope you loved this episode. You can find me, the host of the show, on social networks at Martina Flor on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you have a question or comments, go to martinaflor.com/podcast, where you can see previous episodes, find show notes, and send voice memos with your comments and questions. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube. Just go to martinaflor.com/YouTube to find them. You can, of course, listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform. If you loved this episode, subscribe to this podcast. And if you leave us a review, it will help others find us. Thank you all for listening, and see you in the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye-bye.